circumstances change around you? Do they change you? Well, I hope not.
Anyway, so since we're on this Singapore, and Singapore thing right now, I want to talk to you about this. You went from you went to college in America, correct? So you went to ASU.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Forks up.
oh my
I mean,
gosh.
look, it's what it is.
So now you are an aspiring basketball player as well, right? So I just want you to talk to them about your experience in ASU, and then on top of that, and maybe a bit after, I want you to talk about, because you probably got some. I think you got a couple scholarships offers, or
Yeah, letters of intent.
letters of
Yeah,
intent. Okay, let's just say
I
letters
don't
of
wanna-
intent, and
don't
I
wanna
want you to
express-
talk about this. How was it knowing that you have to come back to Singapore for your NS, because you have to do NS as a Singaporean, and how was that whole situation where it's like, oh, I feel comfortable in America now, and now I'm gonna have to go back to Singapore and do my NS, and on top of that, my basketball. How did that whole
that
thing
feel?
go about? Yeah, how was
All right,
that?
well, I'll cover that first before I get to what it was like at ASU.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I was playing ball in high school in Arizona, I got GCU, which is Grand Canyon University. Their coach and I want to say it was their dean of sports or athletics or whatever. Had reached out to my coach and talked about me and a teammate of mine, Cherokee Toms, one of my best friends as well growing up, and he wanted to come in and watch us practice. And Cherokee was a junior, I was a senior, but at the time I was still on limbo if I was going to go back for NS or if I was just going to stay and just keep my American passport and give that up. I wasn't really sure at the time, but it was early in my senior year. So because I was on limbo and I wasn't sure which one I was going to do, it basically came to a point where there was no point in me consistently pursuing this all the way, because I felt like if I decided to do the other thing, I don't know why I felt this way, because it really, like, that's their job anyways, but I felt like I was just stringing them along for nothing, and I thought that if I stayed anyways that I could maybe reopen that door. But I guess in hindsight you realize that that's not really how it works, right? You want to kind of keep that option open until you make a decision. Obviously I eventually made a decision to come back to do my NS and keep my my Singapore passport and give up the American one. Great decision. I don't regret that one bit. Like, I'm glad I would do it 100 times over. But at the time, because my mindset wasn't really just go to GCU and play basketball and do that for a bit, it was really on, like, I want to go to the best school I can go to and go to law school. I really didn't feel too much of a hurt. It wasn't like, damn, I left everything on the table and, like, now what am I gonna do? It really didn't feel that way.
I feel like this is important, because that people get to hear this about you, because I think there's a lot of people that have that dual citizenship are going to go through the same situation that you're going to go through, and it's good that you can kind of talk about it and how you went through it, right? Because some of these kids might be like, shoot, what am I going to do? Am I going to pick this American passport? Am I going to come back to Singapore? Like, this. So this, I feel like this is important for you to get this out there, and so people can hear how you went through it, and how you can help them go through it and deal with it.
Yeah, everybody's going to be different, and everybody's going to have their own reasons for why they choose one passport or another. For me, it was a couple reasons. It was one, I didn't see myself living in the States for life. That wasn't really my mindset. Like, I've spoken to Donovan about it before, and you probably as well. The culture, the lack of culture, especially where I was living in Arizona, just wasn't something I was used to. I kind of grew up in Singapore, where you have just we're a melting pot. Like, America says they're a melting pot, and if you count the whole 50 states, they are. But if you look at it city by city, spot by spot, most of them aren't. And I didn't really want to live there. I could see myself living there for a small period of time, maybe, but not for life. Two was Singapore's home to me. Like, even though I left when I was really young, I didn't really get to experience it the same way that you do when you're 10 to 18, which is when I was living in the States. Like, there was always a little part of me that was like, yo, this is still home. Like, when I came to visit, my family's here on my mom's side. There's just something that resonates with me even to this day that just makes me feel like this is home, even if, I may not sound like every Singaporean or look like every Singaporean or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter to me. It is what it is to me. And then lastly, like, Singapore's passport was just so much better than the U.S. passport. So, like, from a like a logistics standpoint. Forget my emotions and my feelings, because that's one thing, but you got to make, you know, decisions based on the facts as well. That's like a no-brainer side of things, because Singapore is the best passport in the world, tied with Japan. So like once all these things lined up, and I realized that, look, if you choose to do this, like, you have options, which is what my dad has always kind of instilled in me, my mom as well, that you want to put yourself in a position where you have options. You don't want to be pigeonholed into something. So my advice to anybody dealing with this would be, what gives you the most options to do and pursue what you want to do.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You don't want to just do something because your heart is in it, because our feelings and our emotions on what we want to do change every year, every 2 years, whatever. You know, those things change. But what doesn't change is the ability to have variety in the choices you can make. And for me, coming back and doing that, if I wanted to go back to the States, I could go back with a green card like my mom did and has been doing for years now. You know, I can go still do that. But the other way around, it would have been a lot tougher to do that here. And I knew that going into it. So I came back here, did that, and then by the grace of God, I got a full ride scholarship to Arizona State University.
Talk to him.
To this day, I really don't understand how I got it. I really don't. It just kind of happened. And I mean, that may sound weird to people, because usually, like, you work hard for a scholarship, you apply this, that, and the other. I didn't do that. My dad reached out to me when I was in NS, and he was like, "Hey, you got this letter from the Barack Obama scholarship saying that you're qualifying for X, Y, and Z. So they'll send out another piece of mail in a bit to let you know what you've qualified for." And I'm like, okay. At that point, I'd probably gotten like 3 or 4 scholarship amounts, which was like $1,000 here, $2,000 there, which would help with books and stuff, but it's not really gonna pay for school. And then he sends me another message like a month later, and it's like this picture, this like graphic, this yellow like pamphlet thing that they had sent, and it was like cost of room and board, cost of studies, all the costs that you have per year. Yeah. And then at the bottom it said total family contribution, and it had a fat old goose egg at the bottom, and that shit still kind of gives me chills, because it was like out of nowhere, and I kind of got blessed because I went the right route. Like, if I would have stayed, who knows, I could have maybe gone to GCU, but they probably wouldn't have given me like a full ride scholarship. Probably would have given me some money. I would have been in debt even more, maybe. I would have had to go to JUCO, do a couple years, which ain't nothing wrong with that, but then, like, it's just a whole different trajectory, right? Compared to saying I'm going in for 4 years to a 4-year school that's super well known. WP Carey School of Business, one of the best business schools in the country. One of the top 25 business schools in the country. And I got in for free. And like that in its own way changed my life for sure. I mean, obviously, like, what I do with the degree is what will change my life, but even having the opportunity to be there and do that, that was amazing. And
you had to keep your American passport to go to ASU, right?
Yeah, so I had to speak with the ICA and the government here and let them know that, like, that scholarship was based on me being an American citizen. That wasn't an international scholarship. Okay. So I needed to keep my passport for a little bit more, those 4 years, because I needed that scholarship. And, like, I told him straight up, my dad and I went to the ICA, and I was like, look, if y'all make me choose right now, you're going to lose me. I'm telling you right now, I'm not giving that up. You're not going to make me not go to college for free. Like, that's another situation where you're like, is that worth it? You know, maybe that's not necessarily the whole variety options landscape, but in a sense it kind of is still, because going to a great school for 4 years at one of the best business schools does give you options, right? So, and they luckily, and thank goodness they obliged, and they said, yeah, by all means go do that, but after you're done you have to denounce it, which I did, and there was no problem from there. But yeah, they left that open for me. So what was your other question?
So do you want to get into the
at ASU? Is that what it was?
No, do you you having to come to NS?
Oh.
And all that was it. But I mean, I guess maybe you want to talk about the NS maybe some, like, another time. Or,
yeah, if you have like a specific question about it, I can answer it quick, but I won't get into the details of it. It's 2 years of longevity and
I think it was just about you I think it was just about you knowing that you have to leave and come back and do NS. Was it like, how was that process? Was it like, oh, do I need to, I want to come back here to do NS? And,
no, see, you know what I mean? Like, because I had both passports, I didn't have to, right? Like, I like, it's one thing if something's mandatory. It's just an automatic switch that humans have, that like mandatory fun. Like, you have to go to do this. I'm gonna send you to the roller coaster at 12 p.m. on a Sunday. You gonna go? And it's like, I don't want to go. Right? So like for me, because I had the choices, it made it a lot easier for me to say, all right, I'm like you said earlier, you're embracing that, right? Mentally, I prepared myself. I'm going back on my own choice. I'm going to go do this for 2 years. I'm going to take as much out of it as I can, and then I'm going to come back and go to college. And that's the way I planned it and thought about it as I went into it, and that's the way it went. That's the way it went. So it really, like, my parents have given me this mindset of you deal with what comes your way. You know, you obviously plan for things, and you try to structure your life in a way that behooves you, right? That works for you. But like my dad always says, God has a plan, man has a plan. They ain't always the same. Most of the time, they ain't the same, and they damn sure ain't identical. So you have a plan, and that's great, and you need to have plans to succeed. But you also need to be able to adapt and adjust and make adjustments as the things continue to change, or you're gonna have a tough time. So for me, it really wasn't too tough because I was already in the mindset of no matter what they throw at me, injuries, this, that, and other camps, people, you know, not necessarily taking a liking to me in certain camps. Honestly, for the most part, most people I had a great experience with most people. But everywhere you go, you deal with some.
Is that right?
People that don't like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who liked you there? Name one.
Name one.
Name a pair. Name someone.
Max Navarro.
Oh, okay. I'm about to put you on the spot now, boy. You're lucky. I mean, I would want to talk to you about, like, because we on school, and you went to school in Singapore and America. I wanted to kind of see, like, what was the differences? What's the differences between the two?
The two schools, the schooling systems.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, if you want to get into that, just up to you.
Yeah, I can do that. Well, one side of it is like Singapore is far more rigorous. Like preparing your start here and having this foundation from whatever year you go into school till 9-10 years old, even though that's a short span. Like at that point, anything I do in the States was like a piece of cake because you don't have to do as much schoolwork. Here It was like, I remember talking to my mom recently, and she was saying how, did you know you went to school? Then you'd come home and you'd have Malay tutor, and then you'd have Kumon, and then you'd have Taekwondo, and then you'd go back home, and you'd do it all.
So you learned Malay?
Yeah, I know. I learned
Malay. So do you know Malay?
I don't know Malay.
Oh, okay. No, mama, he didn't go to class. He wasn't paying attention.
She knows I was.
He wasn't paying attention. I tell you that right now. He about to get in trouble. I was talking to mom earlier on Messenger too. Right, so I'm about to message her.
Ask her what I was like.
I'm about to message her.
When if you don't use it, you lose it.
And next time, you know what?
Apa kaba? Kaba baik?
You know we got.
Yeah, freezing his ass. No, like no cap on everything I love. I was one of the best in my class in Malay. You can check with my moms. Do it. Check with my moms.
I'm gonna check with moms.
Y'all seeing this? No, handshake. This is official.
Okay, I'm gonna check. All right, I got you.
One of the best, but I couldn't speak. Well, I didn't want to speak because, like I was saying with mom, she's great with the accents. I wasn't, so I felt like a fool. Like I'm a real prideful individual. I didn't want to sound stupid, so I just didn't speak. I was like number 1 in writing, number 1 in reading, and then speaking. It was like I was like 38th. I didn't want to do it, but. Yeah, and then you move to the States. Like, who speaks Malay in the States? People don't even know what that is. Yeah. So, like, 10 to 18.
They didn't even know what Singapore was them times.
You feel me? So, it was like a dead move at that point. I wasn't gonna speak Malay to who? My mom's.
It was a dead move.
Yeah, it was over.
Right.
But yeah, man, school in the States is cool too because I think it fosters a different type of thought process. Here, it teaches you to just get things done 100%, 100 miles an hour. You're just going. There, it's a little bit more laid back, but what it does create is an environment where you're innovative, you're thinking outside the box, you're creative, you're doing things that are not necessarily like the status quo all the time, and you're not just following like every peg in the loop. You're starting to find your own individuality. Sometimes that works for people. Sometimes it allows people to just be lazy and screw off. But what it does is like, the great people kind of level the things out, right? That's why you see a lot of great things coming out of the States. Not to say that Singapore doesn't also. We know that it does. But, like, America has done a great job of being that beacon of innovation, right, in the world for most people. I mean, you're a Canadian. You can speak on it. Maybe I'm just biased. But, like, I think that they've done that through history, not just necessarily right now, but especially not right now, but in history. So I think that's a testament to how they teach and how they allow people to learn, I should say.
All right.
If you enjoyed this short clip, go check out our full episodes on Spotify, Audius, and YouTube. as well as stay tuned to our Instagram for updates on new clips, giveaways, and our future guests. Keep your eyes glued on the Singer Point of View.